Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the Annuity Lead. Today I thought we would talk about a topic that tends to come up pretty frequently. I get asked this all the time, and it's really how do you compare the lifetime income riders of a fixed indexed annuity to that of a variable annuity? Which one's better? And the answer is it really does depend. If we were trying to compare indexed annuities to variable annuities without income riders, that's like trying to compare apples to oranges, right? But when we add the income riders into the mix, the income riders actually tend to be fairly similar. What you find is the indexed annuities lifetime income riders tend to have higher guarantees at a lower cost, whereas the variable annuities might have lower guarantees, but because they have unlimited upside potential, that can provide more potential income in the long run. So the real question comes down to how do we compare the differences between the two, and in what cases would one be more beneficial than the other? Because we really do have to look at it on a case-by-case basis. Now, the comparison that we're going to look at today is based on the basic type of living benefit rider, meaning that we have a roll-up rate that's being credited on an annual basis to our income base. We have a withdrawal factor at the time that we're going to start taking income, and we can receive annual step-ups. So if our account value, our cash value, or accumulation value is larger than our income account, whatever you want to call that income account, then it will step up the income account to be equal to our accumulation value. Now, there's all types of different lifetime income riders that are out there that work different than this basic version that I just described. But this basic version does tend to be the most common type of lifetime income rider that you'll come across, whether you're looking at variable annuities or indexed annuities alike. Now, before continuing any further in this video, if you are not comfortable with how all the general mechanics of a lifetime income rider works on whether it be an indexed annuity or a variable annuity, then I would recommend stop watching this video and go to our blog and watch the bucket story. The bucket story will help explain all of the basic general mechanics of a lifetime income rider, and it'll make the rest of the comparison that we look at today make much more sense. Okay, so that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at our example. All right, so here we have our case study. Helen Smart. She's 60 years old. She wants to retire in 5 years. Through some income analysis, we've determined she needs $7,250 more in her annual income to help make up whatever shortfall she might have coming from guaranteed sources of income like Social Security and pensions. And she has $100,000 available to work with. So let's go ahead and we're going to scroll down and take a look at our comparison here. All right. Now, these numbers as of today, it is the 9th of May, are current. And it would not be very difficult for you to go out there and find a indexed annuity with a 9% roll-up rate and a 5% income withdrawal at age 65 for a cost of 95 basis points. And that would be total fees and charges because there's no management fees or mortality expense charges. There's just the cost of the income rider. And then variable annuity, very common to be able to find a variable annuity out there that has a roll-up rate at 7% with a 5% withdrawal at 65, and we're assuming about 3.5% in total fees and charges all in. Okay. Now, again, these are basic figures for very, very common indexed annuity and variable annuity combinations with lifetime income riders. It is not meant to be a blanket across the board of all the options that are out there. All right. But if we look at it from this standpoint, we can see with the indexed annuity, if we're looking at guarantees and assuming that there would be no step-ups to the income base because indexed annuities in general are going to have limited upside potential in comparison to a variable annuity. So just looking at the guarantees at a 9% roll-up rate each year, after 5 years, the income base will grow to $145,000 on a guaranteed basis. The withdrawal rate at age 65 being 5%, that gets us the $7,250 of income we're looking for, and it would require a zero return out of the market for those 5 years. Now, On the variable annuity side here, what we can see is that first column does represent our guaranteed income base. So growing at 7% simple interest each year grows our income base to a guaranteed income base of $135,000. After our 5% withdrawal, we're at $6,750. However, because we are using the variable annuity, we're looking for those step-ups to our income base, right? So we're looking for the sub-accounts within our variable annuity to outperform the income rider itself. In which case, the question comes up to how much do the sub-accounts within our variable annuity need to perform at each year to match what the guarantee of the indexed annuity would be on a guaranteed basis? Then you also have to take a look at the variable annuity, and you have to find out or ask, does the step-up occur before or after those fees and charges are assessed? All right, so we have two different columns here. The far right-hand column says, okay, if our step-up occurs after the fee is assessed, then we would need to gross 11.62% each year, so that after the 3.5% fee has been pulled out and our step-up occurs at that point, that would get us the net 7.71% return each year that we would need in order to grow our income base to $145,000. If the step-ups do not occur after the fee has been assessed and they occur before the fee's been assessed, then we really only need to grow 7.71%, so that could change. Anyway, at the bottom, that gets us to an income base of $145,000, and 5% withdrawal now matches what we were getting as a guarantee from the indexed annuity. So the point of this is, don't discredit the guarantees within those indexed annuities that are available out there with lifetime income riders, because they can offer a lot more value than we often give them credit for. In this case, if the variable annuity we're comparing to credits the step up after our fees have been assessed, then our variable annuity needs to perform at 11.62% per year in order to allow us to get step ups equal to the guarantee that's already provided inside of the indexed annuity. Be aware that all of these numbers can change. If we had joint life individuals and the withdrawal factors change, if we're deferring for 10 years instead of 5, if we're taking income in 2 years instead of 5, all those different pieces are variables that will change the overall outcome. It'll change the overall requirements that we would need to get inside of our variable annuity. Sometimes the variable annuity looks great and a lot better. Sometimes the indexed annuity looks really good, and it at least gives us the opportunity to sit down and go, okay, do I feel comfortable that I can get at least 11.62% per year inside of my VA? And if I do more, then I'm going to provide more income to my client. And if I don't, or if my client's not comfortable with that, then we know which direction we should go. Or maybe we do a split between both options, give ourselves some higher guarantees on the one side, right, and give ourselves more upside on the other side. Now, the point is that in a post-DOL world that's coming up, we need to make sure we're doing this kind of due diligence, right, because the products are constantly changing and the options are constantly changing. This at least gives us a baseline for how we can begin to look at and compare which option or which solution is going to be most appropriate for our client. If you need help doing this kind of analysis, make sure you're partnering with somebody that can help you do that. We're happy to do it here at Financial Professionals Group. Happy to walk you through the numbers on a case-by-case basis or make the comparison. Now, some of the other options that are out there are performance-based income riders. Those are much more difficult to compare, but if we're using the traditional type of lifetime income rider like we're looking at here, this is a great way to begin to look at and compare the income riders that are available out there. Now, one last note before we end this piece here. I've given this presentation, talked through this quite a few times before, and I've had some folks actually question and say, hey, I'm seeing a gross return of 11.62%. And if I were to just subtract 3.5% from that, well, that tells me that my net return is 8.12. but you're showing a net return of 7.71. Why is that? That math doesn't add up. And the reason is if you actually took, let's use our scenario here, if you took $100,000, right, and you increase $100,000 by 11.62%, that puts us at $111,620. Then you subtract 3.5% from that number. Well, then your actual account value would be $107,713.30, or in other words, 7.71%. So I hope that helps to clarify some of the information that we're looking at on this page here. Well, I hope that you found this information to be of value. We're happy to work with you to help you do these kinds of comparisons, but it hopefully gives you a good baseline for how to make the comparisons moving forward here in the future. Please note that prior to the implementation of any of the ideas shared on today's show, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or broker dealer compliance officer. On that note, I'm Josh Garland. I'm the Director of Annuity Marketing here at Financial Professionals Group, and you've been watching the Annuity Lead.